Who's Evan Roberts? Wow. The owner of the Mets throwing you right under the bus, Evan. There you go.
Why would he know who I am?
Unwilling to go on the afternoon show. When I asked him just there at the end, why are you ducking Evan Roberts? He said, who's Evan Roberts?
I mean, there's like a 45% chance he has no idea who I am.
He follows you on Twitter?
You know what? That's true.
Who's Evan Roberts?
Why don't you follow that up and say...
Because I couldn't get my headphone thing on
He follows me on Twitter. He doesn't follow you.
I know.
So
that's why I said you.
Unless he accidentally hit the follow button...
Can you guys get the audio? I couldn't hear him because I couldn't get my earpiece in. So I said it. I know he heard me, but I couldn't hear any of how that went.
I didn't hear any of it, so let me hear it.
Well, as soon as the guys can play that, we'll get that to you. But it's going to be a busy day as Steve Cohen has spoken now, first time in a long time. You just heard him. Excuse me, there with Moose and Maggie. Billy Epler comes across like a nice guy. Seems like a very likable guy.
He comes across like a very jubilant guy. I'm so happy. My first Met game, I'll never forget it. 2005. Oh, my God. It was
good
crazy.
Yeah, listen. Doesn't mean he's going to be a good or a bad GM, but at least you got a GM now. And I know I talked to people in the Yankees organization who know Billy well. Clearly, he worked for them for a decade.
Craig, with all due respect to you talking to people with the Yankees.
It's called due diligence.
No. I'm not saying you didn't
do due diligence. They could have said we don't like him.
Craig, and with all due respect to Steve Cohen, who said, hey, everybody came up to me at the owners' meeting saying this was fantastic. No Met fan gives a rat's ass about that. So you can say it, and you did a great job doing your due diligence. That's fine. Billy Epler is going to be judged by his moves.
Of course, that's not what I'm saying.
Hearing that,
I'm not saying it's a good hire. But I'm just saying, listen, every hire, there's people saying good things about.
Exactly, that's my point about Cohen.
You didn't let me finish the sentence as per usual on this show. People at the Yankees love the guy, good guy.
Great.
And then if I was allowed to finish the thought
tell me
on
how
this
you're going to
show,
make that matter.
Then he would go to, and now he's got to earn it. Now he's got to make moves that make the New York Mets a better franchise.
Sure.
And that's it.
The first part is still irrelevant, though. It's the same thing that Cohen said about all the owners came up to him. They formed a line to say, what a great hire. It doesn't matter, bro. Same thing with you and the Yankees. They love him. They employed him for a decade. Of course
you're being Evan Roberts right now. They're independent things. Exactly. They're independent things.
It's irrelevant.
One, people say good things. I'd rather they say good things than bad things. And then B, yes, it goes without saying. It doesn't matter what these people say. Billy Epler now has to build the New York Mets into a champion.
Okay, we agree with that part. It's just irrelevant to hear you or Cohen talk about how everyone loves it. What are they going to say?
The background. I got people in my life that don't lie to me that would say, listen, maybe not the greatest hire. I've heard that before.
Employ the guy for a decade and then badmouth him.
Yeah, well, I'm just telling you what they say. Right, if you don't like listening to it, that you can tune it out.
It's irrelevant. That's all.
Click, click, click. I know you're upset. You could be upset. Evan's pissed off.
I'm in a good mood
today. Here's why Evan's pissed off.
Because Durant's not playing tonight?
Evan's pissed off because the New York Mets made a decision not to put Steve Cohen on this show. And Evan's livid about it, and rightfully so, because Evan is a legitimate Met fan. No disrespect to Moose and Maggie. They're not Met fans. Evan is a season ticket-holding Met fan who has very strong opinions as a paying member, season ticket-holding member of the New York Mets. And there is a feeling here that the New York Mets did not want Steve Cohen to be grilled by this show. And that's where it's coming from, which is why when I said to Steve
Cohen, congratulations. We appreciate the time.
Hey, Steve, Evan Roberts is upset that you're ducking him. Do you want to comment on that or no?
What's that?
Evan Roberts feels like you're ducking him. Any comments on that?
Who's Evan Roberts?
He's a season ticket holder, Steve.
No, I'm kidding. I'm not ducking him at all. Listen, I just want to thank our fans.
I'm not ducking him at all. Listen, at the end of the day, everyone agrees with one thing. Whether they hired me, you, Billy Epler, Theo Epstein, now we have a guy. That guy's got a very clear-cut job. Go make the Mets better than they were. Do something that no one has been able to do in the history of the franchise and turn the Mets into a perennial playoff team that has a chance to win, legitimate chance to win every single year. It has not happened in the history of the franchise. I think, as you've said many times in the show, they've gone to the playoffs in back-to-back years. How many times? Twice in the history of the franchise.
99, 2000, 15, 16, that's it. That's the list.
Right. So, listen, we know what his job is. And now he's got to go do it. And that might very well start with acquisitions today, as there's a whole bunch of guys and a lot of teams throughout baseball that teams have to make decisions on who might be traded now so that teams get something back for them.
The only thing, and I've gotten used to this as of you, these opening press conferences, whether it's for Phil Jackson or Robert Saleh or Joe Judge or whomever, I've learned something over the years. One is the obvious you've hit on. It's all about what you do. It's all about the action. It's all about your performance. That's obvious. But I've learned to kind of weed through the BS.
Okay.
And so I apologize to you for attacking
apologize
you.
to me.
I just, whenever I hear something along the lines of everyone's saying this is a great hire, that's just my BS meter goes off. So
sure,
you shouldn't have faced that shrapnel from me. I apologize, but I heard it throughout this press conference. Now, that's not a negative on Billy Epler. It's irrelevant. I mean, that's the point. Like,
yes.
My point to you, whether you agree or not, is all of that other stuff is noise and pointless. What matters squarely is the actions.
Yeah.
And unlike other jobs that you get, like let's use Judge and Saleh as an example because
Yeah.
they're here, we had to wait 6 months before we could start to see are they capable of doing their job.
And both guys won the press conference.
Right,
The
right.
introductory, I'm the
Right.
new sheriff in town.
Right.
Both fan bases said, yeah, we got a guy. Now, the New York Giants, Joe Judge, when 6-10 is his first year, and it's not much better in year 2. Robert Saleh is beside himself with misinformation regarding who his starting quarterback is, and they've only got 2 wins also. So, yeah, you can win press conferences. You can be highly regarded by the establishment.
Right. Means
And when
nothing.
it's all said and done, you and I, as fans, only care about, are you going to build us into a winner?
And you know what they
agreed, sir.
And you know what they also did today? They did it again. Steve Cohen did it again. He built this up. He made it seem, and hopefully it happens, that the New York Mets are about to spend a massive amount of money.
Yeah, which should make you happy.
It does, but I then say, okay, let's go. Noah Syndergaard's already gone. I don't want to relitigate that. He's gone. It's over.
Right.
But now the expectations, which were so high for last offseason, and for a lot of Met fans, even though they traded and signed Lindor, even though they went after Bauer and Springer, there was a sense of it wasn't enough. The bar has been raised. I'm so used to off seasons where the Wilpons would set the bar really, really low.
Right.
Like, we'll be lucky to sign one free agent. Well, the bar has been raised, and now it's go time. It's November 19th. There's going to be a work stoppage in about 13 days. Now it's about action, and I am so glad that we're done talking about GMs and interviews and presidents and all that garbage, and now it's going to be about baseball players. Now it's going to be about acquiring guys and making your team better. So, game on.
Yep, he did say that he recognizes they need pitching and outfield help, and those are expensive propositions, and he's committed to doing it. Now, we heard that in year 1, too, that this was, the luxury tax was not going to, affect the way they process things. They were willing to go way past it for Trevor Bauer. And here we hear the same rhetoric now in year 2. We know we need to acquire players. We know those players are going to be expensive. I am committed to bringing Joe Blow, fill in the blank, whoever you want you got to be, to come in here. So while the New York Mets are having a press conference with, again, lousy internet service on the Epler side throughout that train wreck today, the New York Jets were making news. And to be fair to the New York Jets, because I read it one way, and then I listened to it and heard it a different way regarding Robert Saleh. So I want to be very fair to the New York Jets. The story came out, if you didn't hear Robert Saleh's press conference, that the reason, among others, now that Zach Wilson was not going to play against the Miami Dolphins was that Zach Wilson lost his mojo. His confidence was in the toilet. And the Jets wanted to rebuild his confidence before they put him back on the field. I tweeted about it. Unacceptable. Another day, another excuse for why Zach Wilson's not quarterbacking, or the flip of that, why Joe Flacco is. So then I decided, since I had nothing else to do.
You didn't decide it. Evan decided it. I said,
I decided
Craig,
to
what
listen.
we should do is, no,
Yes.
I'm not
Yes,
letting you do
that's
that
how I
on your
remember
own.
it.
I was sitting on the massage chair, and I said, you know what we should do, Craig? And you said, what, Ev? I said, let me pull this up on YouTube. Let's listen to Sal. Let's be fair to him. Because I was ready to kill him, too. I was with you. And we listened to it together.
Yes.
And then, like kumbaya, two good partners, we looked at each other and said, wait a second.
He did not say that.
He didn't say that.
He didn't say it at all.
Yeah.
What he did say was that Zach is not confident in his knee yet.
Yes.
Structurally, the knee is fine. He can play from a structural recovery standpoint, but whatever he's doing, cutting, running, whatever he's doing exercise-wise, he's not mentally there yet on the knee. Not about his confidence and his arm strength or his ability to play quarterback at the NFL level. It's none of that. It's like a lot of guys go through, and Saquon spoke this. A lot of guys with knee injuries have spoken to this, that once the doctors tell you you're good to go, the biggest hurdle is mentally feeling like I can trust planting on that foot.
Yep.
I can trust my body to be there where I need it to be. And it's natural to be have some trepidation in regards to that. So my apologies to Robert Saleh, and I did retweet it, that he clearly said in regards to the injury.
You walked it back. You did a good job,
I think
bro.
you have to, because if I'm going to be critical, I want it to be accurate.
It's a reminder that a lot of times all of us have to listen to what these guys say instead
Evan,
of reacting to the headlines.
I read someone else's article.
I know, I get it.
Shame on me.
I read the same thing. When you told me it, and I was looking over your shoulder reading it, I said, oh, my God, this guy's clueless. But then after listening to it, it was completely out of context, and I thought Robert Saleh's explanation was perfectly fine. Now, I've got issues with this coach. I've got worries about this coach. But his answer today concerning that was totally fine.
Yeah, it was. It was fine. It's understandable. And anyone that was critical of it didn't hear it. And I get that, because I was critical of it and then I heard it. So I want to be fair to Robert Saleh and the New York Jets.
And
That's exactly what he said.
And you're welcome for being a good friend by saying, hey, Craig, we should listen to this together.
Would you have referred
no
to
problem.
Steve Cohen today, if he had the balls to come on with us, would you have referred to him as Uncle Stevie today?
No.
You would not have. Okay.
Well,
I'm just
the love
asking.
affair is over. The love affair is over. Okay, if this was a year ago, maybe, but right now he's been the owner for a year. All right, and while I'm excited he owns the team, I still am. The love affair it's complete.
Yes. Now let's get down to business. There's
now
a circus
it's business.
in town. What is this?
Because the bottom line was this: if you were a Met fan in September, you were watching meaningless baseball. You were watching the Wilpon era. All right, so it's over. Doesn't mean I'm not thrilled he bought the team a year ago, but this is a different world now with new questions and new answers he has to have. So, no, my answer would be no to that question.
All right. Well, and I want to be clear. We listen. It's an internal thing, and it's just the Mets made a decision today, and that's it. The Mets decided that Steve Cohen was not going to speak to the afternoon show. Same decision, by the way, Joe Judge made. He refuses to come on with me and Evan because he has a safe haven in the morning.
Is it you or is it me?
I don't know. I think it's you, baby.
It's me.
I think it might be you. Yeah, I think there's a good chance that it's you.
Oh, because I made Luis Rojas upset.
So what we're going to do later today, we're going to cut up the audio from the interview that Steve did, and we're going to redo it with our own questions to see how he answers it. And we're going to give you what amounts to it's not virtual. What's the word I'm looking for? It's going to be... There's a word I'm looking for, and I can't
It's
bring
not
it.
Virtual.
It'll be virtual, but it's not. That's not the word I'm looking for.
Virtual reality?
Oh, I know what it'll be.
What?
It'll be like a mockumentary.
Mockumentary.
We're going to do a mockumentary on what would have happened if Evan and I did the interview with Steve Cohen. It'll be an afternoon mockumentary a little bit later on this afternoon.
Who's Evan Roberts?
Who's Evan Robert?
Guy who supplies you money every year.
Yeah. Well, I give Maggie credit on that one. She goes, he's a season ticket holder. Good answer. Solid answer. Solid answer.
Yeah, he's a customer.
He's what we call a paying customer.
Yeah, but he's one of those sucker customers where no matter what you do to him, he's still going to give you his money.
Yeah, we call that being a sheep.
Yes. He's one of those customers.
Yes.
You never have to worry about this guy writing you an email saying, I'm canceling my account. The Knicks have to worry about that with me, but the Mets never have to worry about
We
that.
got lots to do today. If you're a Met fan, I wonder, like, today was kind of listen, you have a press conference when you hire a new GM, so I'm not knocking the Mets for doing that. You have to do that because you're introduced a new general manager to both the media and a fan base. But outside of that, I mean, you learn nothing today. He sounds like a nice guy. I'll give him that. Fine. He's likable and all that. And clearly, he's thrilled to be getting the job. That being said, you learn nothing today. You learn nothing other than the owner again made a commitment. Yeah, I understand it costs money to get good players, and I'm committed to doing that, which, yeah, you do need to hear that, I suppose. but it was a lot of nothing today. It was like an hour and a half press conference of nothing. So I'd love to ask Met fans, I don't know your reaction to it. I assume it's going to be kind of middle of the road, or like what Evan said to start the show off. All right, we got our guy.
Yeah.
Now what?
A lot of times,
And I think that's ultimately a fair reaction.
This one's a little bit different only because we just want it to be over with. And I think with a lot of announcements, whether it's a coach or it is a GM or manager or whatever, you don't have that feeling. My feeling, because you're in the midst of an offseason, things have happened already, including one of your free agents leaving. And because this search has lasted a while, for me, and I think a lot of other Met fans, the sense was, great, it's over, let's go.
Now,
like a rush to let's move on.
It is funny. I'm getting criticized now on Twitter. They go, Craig, you had one question to ask Cohen, and typical you, non-baseball question.
Do you know what my one question would have been? Do you know?
I don't know.
Yes. You know me well now. If you said to me, Evan, you got one question for Cohen.
You have one question for Cohen.
One question for Cohen, what would it be? And trust me, I know there's plenty of Met fans that would kill me for this one question, but this is my one question.
I don't. I hope it's not about black jerseys.
No. Why did you have zero interest in a three-time world champion in Brian Sabian? That's it. Why?
Yeah.
Because you can't. It's not a yes or no. Give me the reason. Now, I understand it's over, it's done. What does it matter? I'm still curious. Why were you so obsessed with everyone else, with a lawyer who's been out of baseball for years, with a failed GM in Anaheim and Billy Epler? Hopefully he'll be successful here. Why did you have no interest? Zero. Won't even bother a phone call to Brian Sabian.
That would have been great with Epler on the phone, too. Would have loved it. And a legitimate question.
I threw in failed GM in Anaheim.
And you would have had to. Well, I mean, listen.
I would have probably.
Billy Epler was there when they, whether he gets, responsibility for the hire or not, they did make some bad decisions while he was there.
You know what, Craig? Here's how I try to fairly
and
look at Epler.
And that'd be a good question, Epler.
Fair.
Hey, Epler, I have information that the owner made you hire Mickey Callaway.
Joe Madden specifically.
Right.
But the way I judge Billy Epler is the record. That's it. I'm not even going about the Callaway stuff or the Ausmus after 1 year stuff or any of that. He was the GM for 5 years. They had a losing record every year. Like, you can't dispute that. That's not something you can argue about. Now, I heard his excuses during the press conference today. He had excuses. We had a lot of injuries. Well, guess what, Billy? We as Met fans have had that same excuse for years, and it never flies. Like, believe it or not, it doesn't work.
You know what he did that I assume you hate? Because it's the new thing guys do. And I have the guys pulling it now. Not everyone, because it would take forever. Every question. That's a good question.
Yes, and did I not tell you Saleh does that all the time?
That's a good question.
Here's why they do it. Admit this, Craig.
It disarms the reporter.
Yes, and does it work on you as a long-time interviewer?
It does not.
So if someone says to you, boy, Craig, that was an amazing question.
Yeah, well, I know I'm good at what I do. I don't need you to remind me.
Great question, Dave. And again, good to see you, man.
Oh, yeah, and that was the other thing. It was a great question, and it was great to see you again. Good question.
Thanks,
great to
Justin,
see you.
And good to see you again, man.
Yeah.
He's smart, though. He's buttering up the New York media that he already knows.
Yep, you're right to the first name basis. Andy, great to see you. Good question.
Because his thinking is, and I think Saleh does the same thing, and to a degree it's working, by the way, with Saleh. You disarm the reporter to be so nice when they ask you a question.
Good question. Billy, great to see you again. Stevie, good question. Haven't seen you in a bit. I know your name. You don't have to introduce yourself to me.
Lunch on Thursday, buddy.
Yeah, great question.
It was not just that over and over and over again. Great question. And it was twofold. Good point. Great question or good question or guy, blah, blah, blah. And good to see you again. Yeah. Good day. Stevie Gelbs. Great seeing you again, Stevie. Good question.
Next week. Going out. I love your dog. I'll take him for a walk. We're having a great time together.
Did anybody ask Epler if he was actually going to move to New York? Couldn't make it to New York for his own introductory press conference. I wonder if he's actually going to move here, if he's going to pull Phil Jackson.
Not the same thing.
Well, that's a weird thing to me, too. I know Zoom calls allow that these days, and he's probably got to now pack up his stuff and move. Like, how about you come to New York and you do the press conference here?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, there's a part of me that says I want this over with so badly. I don't want to wait a few extra days for him to fly to New York so they could put out the what's it called?
Red carpet.
The charcuterie board, the charcuterie board.
Red carpet.
No, the board with the meats. What's that called?
Charcuterie.
The charcuterie board, the red carpet, the whole thing. Like, we don't need to wait a few more days for that.
I got Evan a charcuterie board at lunch today. Now he's trying to say it. Okay.
What's it called? The charcuterie board?
Charcuterie.
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 Very good.
Yeah, very good. Yes, very good. And it was very good.
It's tremendous.
Listen, we'll get all your calls. Mets out of the gate. We got some Jet stuff, of course. Giants got some news. Logan Ryan's got a little COVID action. We'll get into that and a lot more. It's a Friday on the Fan, and it's the last Friday before Thanksgiving. So that's usually like a mini holiday in and of itself.